Hello friends. Today I will explain a movie that will make your mind happy after watching it. So let's start the video without delay. Venom Let There Be Carnage is secondary in this disappointing Tom Hardy star. Venom Let There Be Carnage movie review. Tom Hardy sports an unshaven, unclean, almost distant look that does not augur well for a film asking us to make space in the MCU for it. As serial killers go, Woody Harrelson has a lot going for him: an abusive past, a propensity to talk in riddles that sound suitably scripture-ish, a liking for scribbling on walls, a weird hairstyle, and even a girlfriend who can shriek the daylights out of cops. However, when a film can swaddle the handsome Tom Hardy in an alien that is all black goo and yellow teeth, Harrelson has little chance. So, while Harrelson sleeps, director Andy Serkis has another alien, in red, ensconced in and over Cassidy's body. Somehow his alien and that inhabiting Brock, played by Hardy, hate each other. Somehow they want to kill each other. And somehow they fight as only giant aliens that are endlessly indestructible and endlessly extendable end up doing. They end up killing a lot of people and destroying a lot of stuff, except those who matter. The story is largely pointing film casting Hardy as journalist Eddie Brock, Cone, alien Venom. Unlike the first part, there are some attempts at comedy. But even Hardy, credited as co-writer, doesn't seem thrilled enough to put in a laugh. He sports an unshaven, unclean, almost distant look that does not augur well for a film asking us to make space in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for it. Harris's horribly fortunate girlfriend, who spends the entire film being locked up or being told to shut up. Williams is Brock's former girlfriend and does light up the film for a minute or two. But there is no chemistry to spark any fires between Brock and her. Not that the film wants to go there. For a few brief seconds though, Venom inhabits Anne's body, and you wonder, what if therein lies the road to redeem this mess of a film that clearly has some ideas about church, fathers, second lives, and, God bless it, another sequel. In hindsight, Venom to be bridging the considerable gap between Sony's Spider-Man universe and the much vaunted MCU. Let There Be Carnage's bombshell post credit scene establishes a tenuous link between the two worlds, with Venom and Eddie's teleportation suggesting the MCU's multiverse is very much in play. At the same time, this rose up contingency issues for the Sony verse, who may now have to attempt porting over the rest of their valuable intellectual properties to the more popular Marvel Cinematic Universe. Despite its rampant success at the box office, Venom Let There Be Carnage is an often nonsensical film that barely manages to pull together a cohesive plot despite Tom Hardy's continued brilliance as Eddie Brock. It seems the Venom team's beloved symbiote into the MCU pulled focus from other narrative areas, with Venom 2 featuring many disparate threads that are often left unexplored. Here's every plot hole and head-scratcher from Venom 2. Despite featuring heavily in Venom Let There Be Carnage's narrative, the Ravencroft Institute is largely left unexplained in the film. This decision is puzzling, mainly since so many characters in Venom 2 and the wider Sony-verse have their arcs converging on this institution. The Ravencroft Institute is a maximum security facility designed to hold criminally insane villains and is essentially Marvel's answer to DC's famed Arkham Asylum. While the nature of this dark series of shrieks flashbacks, Venom 2 could have done so much more with setting up why this place is so important to Carnage, Shriek, Mulligan, et al. Beyond it being a torturous place. Venom 2 even did additional legwork by setting up interesting characters from Marvel Comics canon like Son Weber's Dr. Potso, Carnage's surprisingly helpful psychiatrist, before turning them into, exemplified by Potso's sadistic doctor, undoing an otherwise well-crafted Easter egg. It is troubling how Clintar Spawn is produced in Venom 2, as it sets up many contingency issues for future Venom installments. In Venom 2, Cassidy biting Eddie's hand is all it takes for his offspring Carnage to be born, which essentially states that any time Brock's skin gets punctured, another potent enemy to him will emerge unchecked. With future MCU class Tom Holland's Spider-Man, this becomes an issue for Eddie, who will surely be somewhat battered and bruised as their conflict develops, whether in Venom 3 or another movie. While Venom 2 cleverly sets up Carnage's inception by having Eddie interview Cassidy rather than becoming his cell-mate, as in the Marvel Comics. Once again, the film undoes its own hard work by birthing Carnage in a nonsensical way. even leaving his creation to characteristics only, become more confusing as Venom 2 progresses. Carnage states many times throughout Venom 2 that he hates his father, Venom, without ever explaining this statement. Given Venom 2018's primary villain Riot also being against Venom, Eddie, a simple line or two that confirms all Clintar hate each other would have solved this issue, but instead, audiences are left to ruminate on where exactly Carnage's blind hatred for. His accidental father comes iconic red color is another bone of contention in Venom 2, with Venom's line OS, that is a red one. Not exactly an enlightening moment in the film. Indeed, Carnage's coloration and clear supremacy over his symbiote brethren are never mentioned again. Venom being scared of red symbiotes could have been an interesting way to include some, much needed Clintar character lore into Let There Be Carnage, but instead, Carnage's characteristics are added to a laundry list of plot holes littering Venom 2. How Eddie escapes permanent, at least prolonged law enforcement scrutiny, is a very confusing aspect of Venom 2's plot. Early on in Let There Be Carnage, Detective Mulligan confirms to Eddie that not only is he a person of interest following Venom 2018's events, but that the FBI is looking at him in an ongoing investigation. This all makes sense, except for the fact that after this admission, Mulligan seems to be the only authority figure tailing Eddie. Venom for the entirety of the movie, admitted by Cassidy. Carnage would surely have drawn extra heat for Eddie Brock in Venom 2, who is already looking suspicious after the serial killer's timely escape from prison following his investigative visits. Once again, this looks like a thread Venom 2 ran out of time to follow, with Eddie seeing no immediate repercussions despite the trail of bodies left in his wake. While key characters in with Venom on a daily basis, the symbiote appears invisible to strangers in his unbound, liquid form. There are several instances in Let There Be Carnage when Venom jumps from host to host or forms ahead to converse with Eddie, while people around the symbiote are completely oblivious to its existence. The most nonsensical example of this invisibility is during Venom and Eddie's loosely explained breakup scene, where several party guests them despite him manipulating a host's molecular structure to stand over 8 feet tall. If Venom's invisibility is an intended power, it is never explained in Venom 2's plot, making most of Venom's interactions with the general public wholly confusing. While Venom's statement that Carnage is a red one faintly nods to the fact that he is a different kind of symbiote, this acts as scant justification for some of the odd powers that Cassidy. Carnage randomly manifesting out of San Quentin prison, Cassidy uses his new symbiote tendrils to hotwire a car before later using these same muscles to connect to a computer and hack America's defense systems. Although technological manipulation is a skill used by Carnage in Marvel Comics canon, there is absolutely no setup for how Venom 2's Carnage can perform these feats. Another strange power utilized once and subsequently discarded is Carnage. Cassidy's ability to transform through his tendrils. As Carnage raids Ravencroft to help Shriek escape, his tendrils enter the chamber where she is being held, before sending Cassidy's host body through them to force her to leave. Aesthetically, this is a dazzling scene, but this incredibly useful power is never seen again in Let There Be Carnage.